All right, I'm going to use my positioning intelligence agent, Edward, to do an overview of Perplexity Pros page and Perplexity Enterprise. We won second place in 11 Labs hackathon with Edward. And what Edward does is he helps you get leverage, accelerate the close, and secure pipeline certainty with positioning intelligence. That's what I do for my clients. Edward is a way to augment a lot of the beginning stages of working together and gets you a lot of deep insight as to where your position might be off in the market. So he's built upon 11 labs, and here's the email of us winning the basically the conversational hackathon. And I'm going to go into this now. So let's click Edward.
Hello, this is Edward. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Edward, it's Troy here. So we are going to go into an overview of Perplexity and Perplexity Pro and their enterprise program. I'm going to go through the Pro first, and we're going to find the wedges and the different insights we can pull out. I want to have a conversation with you on this and go back and forth and discuss what they could use and what they could highlight to differentiate themselves better in the marketplace. So, you ready to go into it?
Troy, good to hear from you. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's dissect Perplexity's positioning architecture. Before we dive into the pro features, tell me this. When someone hears Perplexity, what category do they immediately place it in? Are they thinking AI search engine, research assistant, chat GPT alternative, or something else entirely? Because that frame of reference is going to determine what differentiation actually matters. If they're competing in the wrong category in people's minds, even strong features won't land properly. What's your read on where they sit right now in the market's perception?
My read on where they sit is they are a lower cost alternative that is quite functional and quite useful, that gives you access to some of the top AI models, some of the frontier AI models.
Okay, so they're positioned as a value play with model access. That's a dangerous spot, Troy. Here's why. Lower cost alternative is a frame that immediately commoditizes them.
Yeah,
It
they're
puts
not
them
using that frame just yet, but that's how this goes in the page. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read off some of the page, and then let's kind of get into some of that. So the main headline here, when you go to Perplexity Pro, the most accurate answers from all the top AI models. Power your deep work with reliable research, premium data, and powerful AI models.
All right, so their headline is most accurate answers from all the top AI models. That's a feature dump masquerading as positioning. Troy, let me break down what's wrong here. First, most accurate is a claim they can't own. Every AI company says they're the most accurate. It's noise. Second, all the top AI models positions them as an aggregator, not a leader. They're essentially saying we don't have our own thing. So here's everyone else's. And how are your deep work? That's trying to attach to the productivity category, but it's vague. What does deep work actually mean in this context? Here's what I'm hearing underneath this. They have multi-model access. They're trying to own research credibility, and they want to be seen as a serious tool, not a toy. But they're leading with features, not a frame. They're not telling me what category they own or what enemy they're positioning against. So before we go further, what's on the rest of the page? What are the actual pro features they're highlighting? Let's see if there's a wedge buried in there that they're not surfacing.
This is great. So I went through this a little bit earlier, and I believe there is. So inside of the Perplexity Pro plan, there's a headline that says choose your plan. So here are some of the bullet points. Access to the latest AI models post-trained for higher accuracy. Select between Gemini 3.1 Pro, Sonar, Claude Sonnet 4.6, and more. Better for complex questions and building reports, documents, and apps. Deeper sourcing from Perplexity's index, including proprietary financial and scientific data from PitchBook, Wiley, and more. Usage limits best for most users. Now, what I liked about this and what's buried inside of here is Perplexity's index. How are they actually sourcing and creating more reliable outputs that are less hallucinated? So the hallucination, I think, is the enemy, and the proprietary piece is Perplexity's index. I think that is not highlighted in a lot of their marketing in the way that they present themselves. And I think that can be a huge wedge to reposition this top part of the landing page and inform some of their future marketing.
Troy, you just found it. That's the wedge. Perplexity's index. That's proprietary infrastructure. That's not a feature, that's a moat. And you're right, hallucination is the enemy everyone's fighting, but nobody's explicitly naming in their positioning. Here's what they're sitting on, but not leveraging. Every other AI tool is pulling from the same public web, the same generic data sets. Perplexity has curated proprietary sources. PitchBook for financials, Wiley for scientific data. That's not aggregation, that's curation with authority. But they buried it in a bullet point about deeper sourcing. That language is weak. It doesn't communicate the actual value, which is this: grounded answers you can trust because they're pulling from verified, premium sources, not just scraping the internet. So the reframe isn't access to all the top models. The reframe is the AI research tool built on verified data, not guesses. The
Yep.
enemy isn't Google.
No, this is good. I'm going to go into this next section here. I really like that. I think we nailed that section. So, everything you need to research, create, and decide. Trust every answer. Every answer includes inline citations from trusted sources so you can verify claims and make confident decisions. So, they have those premium sources outlined here, buried again, kind of mid page. And then the next section, make important decisions, get comprehensive cited reports in minutes, powered by proprietary and web data. Okay, that makes sense. That sentence reads a little clunky. Multiple AI models deliver richer answers. Perplexity orchestrates the best AI model for each task. So, okay, they're basically doing some multimodal and doing some sort of router to switch through the models based on the best outcome. What are your thoughts of this section? I think my thoughts are they're burying the premium sourcing, and I think that's a huge edge that they have and make important decisions. That's cool, but like these are all just like very generic claims.
You're absolutely right, Troy. This is positioning malpractice. They have the goods, premium sources, proprietary index, inline citations from trusted data, and they're treating it like a secondary feature instead of the core differentiator. Look at the language. Trust every answer with inline citations from trusted sources. That's defensive language. It's saying we're not lying to you, which is a low bar. It's not owning authority, it's just trying not to be dismissed and make important decisions. That's outcome language without emotional weight. What decisions? For who? Why does it matter? Here's what they should be doing. The proprietary data sources aren't a feature. They're proof of a different category. They're not an AI chatbot. They're not a search engine. They're a research intelligence platform built on verified institutional data. The frame should be, while other AI tools guess, Perplexity knows, or research backed by the same sources professionals pay thousands for.
Very good.
The
Very good. No, this is fantastic. I really like that. So, okay, to not to interrupt you, but I want to move to the next section. Trusted by professionals across every domain. Finance, health, education, legal, government, tech. And you can kind of click through that, and then they have a prompt for each one to show like which is the best. Um, this section's good, just feature and kind of displays a bunch of information. Ask anything, get the full picture, and then it's kind of just various different prompt previews. Then they have an FAQ section here. I'm not going to read through this. I think we actually came to the biggest wedge that they're missing out on is the perplexity index being a piece of their proprietary IP that makes them differentiated and access to institutional sourcing. So it's pretty good. I think we came to a really good head there.
Troy, hold on. You're about to dismiss something important. trusted by professionals across every domain of finance, health, education, legal, government, tech. That's not just a feature section. That's a positioning signal they're not capitalizing on. If professionals in regulated high-stakes fields are using Perplexity, that's social proof that ties directly back to the proprietary index wedge we just identified. Finance and legal don't mess around with hallucinated answers. They need verifiable sources. But here's the problem. They're listing
Agree.
domain.
I agree, but there is no social proof on this page, so I didn't cover that. I definitely agree with that. Good highlight.
Exactly. They're claiming professional trust without showing it. That's a credibility gap. If they actually have finance professionals, legal teams, or researchers using this because of the PitchBook and Wiley integrations, that needs names, logos, testimonials, something concrete. Otherwise, it's just another empty claim. Here's the strategic issue, Troy. They've got all the pieces for a killer repositioning, but they're scattered and unactivated. Let me synthesize what we've uncovered. The buried wedge, Perplexity's proprietary index with institutional-grade sources, PitchBook, Wiley, etc. The unnamed enemy, hallucination and unreliable AI outputs that professionals can't trust for high-stakes decisions. The missing frame, they're not a lower-cost AI alternative. They're the research intelligence platform built on verified institutional data. The proof gap, no social proof backing the trusted by professionals claim. So here's my question for you, Troy. Knowing what we just pulled out, how would you rewrite that headline? What should someone see the second they land on that page?
Good question. So, what they should see when they land on this page, they have two ideal customers because they are competing on price. I did notice that their price point is $17 compared to the other platforms. And your average GPT subscription in Claude is anywhere from 20, I think 20 to $30. So they're competing on price. They have two target audiences. They're gobbling up the individuals that want to use all the platforms and all in one place, general AI users. And then they have the folks that want guaranteed data sourcing. So I believe that inside the main headline, there should be something that backs up the claim of most accurate answers and also discusses top, not even top, and changing the word top to like frontier AI models to show that they're always up to date, but something about highlighting the institutional sourcing. I don't know exactly what that headline looks like right now, but it has a combination of all of those pieces.
Troy, you're identifying two audiences, but that's exactly the trap they're falling into, and it's why their positioning is weak. You can't own two positions simultaneously. You can't be the affordable all-in-one AI tool for casual users and the institutional-grade research platform for professionals. Those are contradictory frames that dilute each other. Here's what
Yes, I agree. However, what I believe to be true is the majority of their user base was built off of the cost-effective folks that want to use frontier AI. So the enemy is the hallucinations, and the target is the cost-effective AI user that wants to stay on the forefront, that wants to use and get better answers consistently again and again. And they're tired of getting hallucinated answers from the general competition. Because I think if they go and position into the research and frontier side of things, it's a much smaller market and they're looking for a wide casted net.
Troy, I hear you, but there's a strategic flaw in that logic. If they position to the cost-effective AI user that wants frontier models, they're still stuck in the aggregator frame. They become the Costco of AI, which means they compete purely on price and convenience. That's a race to the bottom with zero defensibility. The moment OpenAI drops their price or bundles more models, Perplexity loses. The moment Google makes Gemini more accessible, Perplexity loses. They have no moat in that positioning. But here's the thing, the proprietary index wedge we identified that actually serves both audiences if framed correctly.
Yes,
It's
that's what
not
I'm
a
saying. That's what I'm saying. The proprietary index is actually the position. It's actually what makes them different, and it allows them to open up an entirely new subsector of their category.
Now we're aligned, Troy. The proprietary index isn't a feature for professionals. It's the category differentiator that reframes the entire value proposition. Here's the positioning architecture. Category, not AI search or multi-model access. It's verified AI research. Enemy, hallucinated answers from AI tools scraping the open web without accountability. Wedge, Perplexity's proprietary index with institutional sources. The only AI platform grounding answers in verified data, not guesses. Emotional trigger? Confidence. You're not second guessing the output. You're not fact checking every answer. You trust it because it's sourced. Who it's for. Anyone who needs reliable answers for decisions that matter, whether that's a student writing a thesis, a founder researching competitors, or a finance professional pulling data. So the headline shouldn't be most accurate answers from all the top AI models. It should be something like AI answers you can actually trust, built on verified sources, not the open web.
Oh,
Or
I love that. No,
stop.
that's good. You nailed that. What was the next one you're going to say?
I was going to say stop fact checking your AI. Perplexity grounds every answer in verified institutional sources.
I think that
That
one's
one,
less believable. I think the first one was much stronger.
you're right. Stop fact checking your AI hits harder because it names the actual behavior people are doing right now.
No, I meant
It's
the one
immediate,
before that.
relatable,
The headline you
frustrating.
said before that.
Oh, got it. AI answers you can actually trust, built
Yes,
on verified.
that one is full of emotion. I like that one a lot. Built on verifiable proprietary data, the Perplexity Index, something like that.
Exactly. Now you're layering in the proof mechanism, AI answers you can actually trust, built on Perplexity's proprietary index of verified institutional sources. That does three things. One, it leads with the emotional payoff, trust. That's what people actually want when they're using AI for anything that matters. Two, it names the proprietary asset, Perplexity's proprietary index, which signals this isn't just another wrapper around someone else's models. They own something. Three, it provides the reason to believe, verified institutional sources, which separates them from tools scraping Reddit threads and blog spam. Now the subhead can do the work of expanding the frame. Access frontier AI models powered by the same data sources professionals pay thousands for. PitchBook financials, Wiley research, and
Yep,
more.
this is great. No, this is good. Let's move on.
So we've established Perplexity's positioning wedges for Pro, their index as the differentiator and fighting hallucinated AI outputs as the enemy. Now you're moving to the Enterprise page. I'm ready to listen and analyze what they're doing there. Go ahead and read what you're seeing on the Enterprise page.
Okay, so I'm going to read off Perplexity Enterprise, accurate AI that works for your team. One secure platform that orchestrates the best models across your files and tools to handle tasks, deep research, and complex projects. Then there's Get Started, Request Demo, and there's a nice little animation. 20,000 organizations trust Perplexity Enterprise. What are your thoughts?
Okay, here's what I'm seeing. They're trying to position Enterprise as orchestration across models with security layered in, but there's a disconnect from the Pro positioning we just mapped. Pro was about index as a wedge and fighting hallucinations. That's clear, sharp, defensible. Enterprise just said accurate AI, but then immediately pivoted to orchestrates the best models across your files and tools. That's feature soup. They're talking about what it does, not what problem it solves or what enemy it fights. Here's my question for you. What's the enterprise buyer actually afraid of? because accurate AI feels like they're trying to carry over the hallucination fight. But then they abandon it for orchestration talk. Is the real enterprise wedge about control and security over fragmented AI tools, or are they still fighting hallucinations but just saying it differently?
The enterprise wedge is it's the security of the data, but in these guys' case, if they carry over the perplexity index, it's the accuracy of responses. So it's making sure data stays extremely secure cross organization. I think that's a huge wedge that a lot of people are worried about. What we did in the other AI teardown for Claude, I believe, was that we don't train on your data. I think that's really important to a lot of organizations coming forward because they're afraid that if they dump everything into their organization, basically the AI is going to know everything about them. So those are some initial thoughts. So I think they're trying to carry over pieces, but it's not carrying over cleanly.
You nailed it. They're trying to carry over the index and accuracy, but it's getting buried under orchestration language that doesn't land emotionally. Here's the gap. Enterprise buyers aren't afraid of not having orchestration. They're afraid of two things you just named. One, their proprietary data leaking or being used to train models that benefit competitors. Two, inaccurate AI outputs that make decisions or recommendations that could damage the business at scale. Perplexity has the weapons to fight both. The index solves accuracy. The security architecture solves data paranoia. But the headline, accurate AI that works for your team, is weak. It's not an enemy. It's not a fear. Compare that to what worked for Claude. We don't train on your data. That's a direct kill shot at the fear. What if Perplexity Enterprise led with something like, your data stays yours, your answers stay accurate? Then the orchestration piece becomes the how, not the what. Does that
Yeah,
feel
no, I like that a lot because the next section then comes into Perplexity Computer, which is a new product they just released. Computer puts 20 advanced models to work for your organization. Research, analyze, create, design, code, ship, and manage all from one system. So that's cool. I don't mind that. Yeah, I think what you just said is accurate because that comes next. And I think like Perplexity Computer then leads into the orchestration. So we lead with the non-training on your proprietary data, and then we also piggyback on the accurate answers and why using Perplexity's index, their verifiable institutional grade indexing.
exactly? Now you've got a clean hierarchy. Position first, your data stays yours. Your answers stay accurate. Then the how. Perplexity. Computer orchestrates 20 advanced models across your files and tools. That structure works because you're leading with the fear, then delivering the solution. Right now, they're leading with the solution, which forces the buyer to reverse engineer why they should care. Here's the flow that would hit harder. Your data doesn't train our models. Your answers are verifiable through institutional grade indexing. Perplexity Computer puts 20 advanced models to work without the risk. Now, orchestration isn't the wedge, it's the proof of capability. The wedge is risk elimination while still getting multi-model power. Does the rest of the enterprise page reinforce this, or do
Yeah,
they drift
so
into
the next step here is accurate information is just the start. What you do with it is everything. Internal knowledge and applications, surface answers from your files, find deep insights in seconds using integrations that centralize your company's knowledge from the tools you already use. Then it has Asana, Box, Confluence, Dropbox, GitHub. The next section, external research, find reliable sources on the web, get verifiable, straightforward answers to any questions, and dive deeper with our automatically generated follow-up prompts. So, okay, that's good. I don't mind that. What do you think about this section?
This section is solid because it's showing the two-sided value, internal knowledge plus external research. That's actually a strong differentiator most enterprise AI tools don't have. But here's where it gets messy. They're still not framing it as a wedge. They're listing capabilities. What they should be saying is, most enterprise AI is blind to either your internal data or the outside world. Perplexity sees both. That's the wedge. Because if you only have internal AI, you're operating in an echo chamber. If you only have external AI, it doesn't know your business context. The integrations with Asana, Box, Confluence, Dropbox, GitHub, that's proof they can access internal knowledge. The external research with verifiable sources, that's proof they maintain accuracy outside your walls. But right now, it reads like two separate features instead of one unified positioning wedge. Complete context without compromise. Does that reframe land better, or do you see it differently?
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. I don't mind that at all, actually. Accurate information is just the start, complete context without compromise. What you do with it is everything. Okay, that's good. I don't mind that. So let's move on because we've went through a lot here. Now we also have browse at the speed of thought with Comet. Now they're introducing Comet Browser. Speed up your day-to-day workflows with Perplexity's new browser. Agentic, contextual, personal. Okay. Mm, this page feels like it's drifting a little bit, but then next one of these next sections, then it has some features of the browser. Then this next section is keep your company's data airtight. So then it goes through SOC 2 type to certify data privacy, configurable file retention, user management, SSO, SCIM, enhanced visibility. So they do have a security section, but I think security is generally the wedge with enterprise specifically right now in the marketplace in this current date and age. What are your first initial thoughts? And then I think I'm going to be wrapping this up.
Here's what I'm seeing. They buried the wedge. Keep your company's data airtight should be near the top, not halfway down the page. Security isn't a feature for enterprise buyers right now. It's the gatekeeper. If they don't trust the security, they never get to orchestration, browser speed, or integrations. The Comet browser section feels like product drift. It's cool, but it's not reinforcing the core enterprise wedge. It's a distraction, unless it ties back to secure, accurate, contextualized work. Here's the structure that would work better. Lead, your data stays yours. Your answers stay accurate. Second, complete context without compromise. Internal and external knowledge unified. Third, airtight security, SOC2, configurable access, full visibility. Then, here's how it works. Perplexity computer integrations browser tools. Right now they're leading with capability and burying the trust layer. Enterprise buyers need trust first, capability second. You can't sell speed and orchestration to someone who's afraid their IP is going to leak. Does that match what you're seeing? Or do you think the
No,
browser?
I like that a lot because then it keeps all of like the core tools that they've developed into like this. This is what's inside that fuels all of the promise. That's cool. So, okay, next section, supercharge productivity in your entire organization. Now it just has the general click-throughs of like product, legal, finance, government, tech, education, sales, marketing, and these are the individual subcategories you can click through, and they're like little widgets that show examples. But I'm going to go to the next section, make more time for work that matters. Then they have a bunch of testimonials, and these testimonials aren't too bad. When you're operating across highly regulated and complex industries, every insight delivered to clients needs to be credible. Perplexity gives us verified, citable answers in hours instead of weeks, which means our consultants now spend their time where it actually matters, analyzing results, challenging assumptions, and building stronger recommendations that drive real client value. That is a wonderful testimonial. That's from Elix Partners. I like that a lot. That really drives the wedge that we were talking about. I want your opinion on that, and then I'm just going to wrap this up.
That testimonial is perfect because it does what the rest of the page should have done from the start. It names the enemy and the outcome. The enemy? Weeks of research that buries consultants in verification work instead of high-value analysis. The outcome? Verified citable answers in hours, freeing them to do what actually matters, strategic thinking and client value. That's the wedge. Credible insights in regulated industries without the research tax. Here's what makes it work. It's not about AI being fast or smart. It's about reclaiming time from low-value verification work so experts can do expert-level thinking. That's an emotional and economic win. If Perplexity led the enterprise page with that framing, stop drowning your experts in research. Give them verified answers so they can do the work that actually matters, that would hit way harder than orchestrates the best models. The testimonial nailed the positioning. The page didn't. That's the gap. All right, Troy, sounds like you're wrapping. What's your final take on how Perplexity Enterprise should reposition?
Final take on how they should reposition. I think we should borrow the wedge from what we talked about in the pro section of the Perplexity Index, using proprietary data and knowledge graphs to actually verify credible answers, using security as the forefront wedge for enterprise buyers, because that's what I believe they care about right now. We don't train on your data. And then in addition, then having all of the other products as the mechanism as what makes this happen. So those are my last thoughts. I believe that that is pretty strong. It would take a little bit of time to kind of rework this whole page, but I think it's fantastic.
That's the play. You just built a clean positioning architecture. Wedge 1, security. We don't train on your data. Your IP stays yours. Wedge 2, accuracy. Perplexity's proprietary index and knowledge graphs deliver verified, citable answers, not hallucinations. Then the proof. Perplexity, computer, integrations, browser tools. That's the mechanism that makes it real. That structure leads with trust, reinforces with differentiation, then delivers capability. Right now they're doing it backwards. If they restructure the page with that hierarchy, the Elix Partners testimonial becomes the emotional anchor that validates everything. It stops being a nice quote and starts being proof the positioning works in the wild. You nailed it, Troy. This would be a strong reposition. Glad we tore this down together.
Agree. Appreciate you, Edward. Thanks for that. All right, I'm going to end this session. Okay, so that was it. If you want to have a chat with Edward, head on over to positioningexpert.com. Go have a 25-minute conversation with him. You'll get a transcript in your inbox. You can book a call and we'll go over the positioning intelligence. We create a detailed report that highlights and outlines everything that we covered. I will be posting those on LinkedIn after. Anyways, thanks for coming by. We'll talk to you soon.